drives you? What inspires you? Let's ignite your why. Welcome to the season 6 finale of Ignite Your Why podcast. I'm your host, Austin T. Gullett, and we're here to have genuine conversations with authentic people to help amplify their voice and figure out what ignites their why. Today's guest was born and raised in Cincinnati, Ohio. He spent 13 years working in education, teaching various disciplines in life sciences and physical sciences on the secondary school level. He obtained his bachelor's degree in biology and environmental studies from Thomas More University, and then he went on to obtain 2 master's degrees, one from Northern Kentucky University and the other from Gardner-Webb University. Currently, he resides in South Carolina, where he found himself working in the professional brewing business.
Yep.
So let's give a warm welcome to my old friend, Chase Runyan. Man, that was such a struggle.
So good though. So good.
I was just like, you know what? I'm going to be imperfect today, and we're just going to go with it.
That's the way we like it.
So if you're still here, I appreciate it. I fucked it up, but we're here. We're kicking it. But how you been, man?
I've been well. Life has definitely thrown some curveballs at me, and it's as I've told you in the past, keep your weight back and hit it the opposite way, right?
And I think it's funny how we did not coordinate to wear the Reds.
I know, red. Yep.
I was just like, oh, my mom just gave it to me this weekend, so I was like, I'm just gonna wear it because it's clean.
Perfect. Yeah. I think myself, just like every other Bengals fan, probably wanted to wear black and orange today, but we're not gonna discuss the Bengals.
That game, I was just like stressed. It is what it is. We'll get them Thursday night.
Absolutely.
When you're listening to this podcast, guys, it will be a game day. So the Bengals will beat the Ravens. I'm calling it right here.
I hope so.
Fingers crossed.
Definitely need it.
We need it. It will be a game changer, especially for our division. Mm-hmm. But anyways, let's just hop straight into this, man. So what is your story?
So, I grew up on the west side of Cincinnati in suburban Cincinnati. Had a pretty normal childhood. Phenomenal parents, phenomenal family, very close to my sister, very close to my brother, very close to their families as well. Phenomenal father, phenomenal mother. Can't say enough, great things about those two. Had a great high school experience. Went to Northwest High School. Go Knights. Played golf there, was on the track team. Just had a great overall experience. Had a biology teacher that really spoke to me and kind of mentored me, and that kind of pushed me, into what I wanted to do in college, which was biology, environmental studies, etc. And ended up going to Thomas More, now university. Played golf there for 3.5 years. Loved every bit of it. Was a member of a fraternity, Alpha Delta Gamma. Love my brothers. Very thankful for them. Great college experience. Started off, my first job right out of college was at L'Oreal. I was a chemist and a microbiologist. Phenomenal professional experience. Made great friends there. Still keep in touch. But I wanted something a little bit more dynamic. Something a little bit more, I don't want to say challenging, but something that was more fitting for my way of thinking. So I got into education, went to Northern Kentucky University, obtained my master's degree. Now, at the same time that I was obtaining my master's degree, I started teaching at Holmes. So I was not only still working at L'Oreal, I was teaching at Holmes, and I was getting my master's degree at NKU. So, time management definitely was something I learned how to value. And then, finished up my master's degree at NKU, coached baseball at Holmes. Phenomenal experience. To this day, I still cannot stop bragging about these young men that I'm just so thankful that I had that experience in my life. It's just incredible to see what you guys are doing. To say I'm proud is not even, not even the statement. I mean, it's incredible. And, can't stop bragging about everything that you guys are accomplishing. But after I left Holmes, I went to Grant County, taught biology at Grant County for 4 years. And then, met someone. We hit the road for a little bit, did some traveling, lived in Phoenix, Denver, Louisville, Pensacola, and then ended up here in Murrells Inlet, South Carolina. So taught down here for 2 years, taught biology at a school called Andrews High School. Another amazing experience. Absolutely thankful for that experience. And then had some life events take place and met a guy named Trevor Day. Also grew up in the Cincinnati area.
Mm-hmm.
I was using his garage just as a hobby to make beer, and he made a joke that we could sell it, and now we're selling it.
Small world.
Very small world. Very small.
I do want to dive into that, but not right now, because there's a few things I want to touch on. So you talk about being a golfer, and you golfed in high school and in college. So where did the idea of coaching baseball come from? Because I'm curious now, because I never quite knew that. And it's golf and baseball are very different when it comes to swings.
Right.
So where did that passion come from, and like what made you like want to take that route?
So baseball is something that's always been big in our family. My mom adores the sport. My dad, it's something that he always knew. My brother growing up played baseball. Sports in general is just something, that, our family's kind of, revolved around.
Mm-hmm.
My sister was a Bengal cheerleader. But again, my brother played in baseball when he was little. It's just something that, our family just really, came together around, and played little league and all the way up to high school, and just caught the golf bug, to be honest, But it's something that I just knew. And then the opportunity came when I was at Holmes to coach the JV team. Still one of my most impressive memories in my entire sports history. We beat Cub Cass on the JV level. Yeah, it was my first victory. It was my first victory as well. So we beat Cub Cass, and then the head coach left, and the vacancy was there, and Coach Madrick asked me if I wanted to take over the program, and I stepped up. And just one of these things that just filled my heart. Like, it's just something that I knew that this is what I wanted to do, and it was great. I'm very thankful.
I know the feeling. Coaching at Holmes is very special. And I think it takes very, very special people to work at Holmes. And it's an experience that it's hard to explain if you don't like live it. I don't know how else to really, really explain it, because these kids, they deserve it. And when I go back, I'm just like, I was you at one point. And it's weird because like Coach Neville's is still there, Coach Hopkins is still there, and I'm like 20. Yeah, I'm 27 now, and they talk like it's weird when you have like teachers and you become like friends like later on in life.
You're right, right. No, I get it. Yeah.
They tell like my soccer players all the time, they're like, you guys talk all this shit, but if you guys actually saw Austin play in high school, like he was way better than you.
Yeah, it's being a part of that Covington community is there's just such a connection there, and it's incredible. And every time I listen to you speak, and how much you can just tell that your heart is in that community, and they're very lucky to have someone like you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And absolutely. I think it only becomes because I had great mentors along the way. Right. And it's just when I think of my high school experience at Holmes, all I think about is teachers that genuinely cared about our well-beings and wanted us to be the best we can be. And that's what those kids need. And it's just like when you experience it as a kid and you see the things you experience in the Covington, it's just eye-opening, and it makes you want to give back and give these kids that opportunity that you once had. So that's where my heart is.
And it shows, and they're very lucky.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So I do have this one question. So why was it hard for you to walk away from education after spending 13 years? Because you talked about when you were at your job as a chemist, you thought like, okay, this isn't working for me. I want to do something that's more fulfilling. You did that for 13 years. Was it something that was just like, hey, like I can't do this anymore? Or what happened there?
First of all, that's a great question, and I'm glad you asked it. So you mentioned earlier, I obtained my second master's degree from Gardner Webb, and my entire career path was all education.
Mm-hmm.
So when I went to Gardner Webb, it was to obtain my certification in educational leadership. So I was going to become a principal, assistant principal, and then maybe eventually a principal. And I mentioned that life threw me a curveball, something that I don't really talk about unless you're family or really close, but I went through a divorce. And just at that time, the support structure that I had down here in South Carolina was tremendous, and I knew I didn't want to leave it. And an opportunity for me to do something for me presented itself. And I kind of, did some soul searching, and I said, hey, Chase, why don't you chase your dreams and show others that you can obtain something that you've always wanted to do? Every time I travel, going to a new brewery is something that I like to do. I keep a list. The culture around craft beer is just something that I've always been a part of and I've always loved. And it's something I'm extremely passionate about, to the point where I started making beer in my kitchen when I was living in Independence, Kentucky. And when I had the opportunity to chase that, I had to do it. It's something that I had to take advantage of. And now I've been doing it it'll be 4 years this March.
That's awesome.
And we're getting ready to, my personal goal right now, small steps, set a goal, reach it, set a new goal, reach it. My goal right now is if you were to fly into the Myrtle Beach airport, right before you go down to the baggage claim, there's a giant sign and it's got a list of all the breweries in the Myrtle Beach area. My next goal is to have our logo on that sign. So when you get off that plane, you're going to see Winyah Bay Brewing Company right there on that sign right before you get to baggage claim. I know it sounds kind of silly, but it's just a goal that I personally want to achieve. And we're gonna do it. It's gonna happen.
It's not silly. It's not silly because I think it's obtainable. It's building your brand, and I think the biggest thing you're talking about is just pouring into your own cup. I feel like I've had this conversation on this podcast the last 3 weeks, and I don't know if it's God like giving me this sign that I need to start doing the same thing, because I've always been that like giver of give that I often forget to give myself grace as well. But I think it's amazing how even at the age that you're at, it's never too late. And I think that's the biggest thing is a lot of the times we just get so complacent in where we're at in life that we feel like we're stuck. And for you to, yeah, it's unfortunate the events that happen to get to where you are, but everything in life happens for a reason. There's a lesson in everything. You can't succeed if you don't fail. So for you to be here now and pouring into your cup and doing what you truly are loving to do, it's truly inspiring, especially as like a 27-year-old who you've known like when I was like 12. So it's just when you hear success stories of that kind of nature, it's just like, damn, it is possible, because society makes everyone think that it has to be a flat like road. Like once you're in it, you're kind of stuck. And change can happen, and it's never too late to truly start doing what you want to do.
Right. I think, social media and everybody having access to all this information right at their fingertips, I feel like people often want instant gratification. And I understand why. However, I've learned that success isn't just going to be instantaneous. It's going to be something where I might have 2 people like a particular beer, and then I might have 3 people that don't like it. Well, you know what? 2 people turns into 4 turns into 8. And as long as you just focus on the positive and build and just keep building and keep building, then you don't have to have that instantaneous gratification. It's going to get there.
It's having patience. And I think the biggest thing is understanding that I'm not going to please everyone. Like not everyone's going to like everything I make. Not everyone's going to like this podcast. Not everyone's going to like the beer you make. But what matters the most is you're doing something you love, like doing something you love. And that's really all that matters in life, is if you're doing
Correct.
something you truly enjoy and you're happy about, then success is limitless. Like you can, it's
Absolutely.
going to happen. And since we're kind of talking about like your passion here, it makes me want to go into the next segment. So, what is it that truly inspires you? But most importantly, what is it that ignites your why?
So another great question. So going back to my education background, one of my biggest things, one of the biggest motivating factors for me was making sure that life can be a little bit easier for the next person.
Hmm.
Um, so when I was getting my degree in educational leadership, my platform was teacher, celebration. Let's celebrate these educators. They work so hard. Their job is extremely tough. It being a coach. Teaching is a very, very demanding career. So my platform was celebrate teachers, and then you're going to see an immediate effect on student learning, student behavior, the whole culture of a school.
Hmm.
So going into professional brewing, you know, it wasn't always about what I want to do. It was always about, I see how much people enjoy this process and how they're just fascinated with the science behind it. And I knew that I could take my education background and kind of roll it into, beer production and just basically show people how
Hmm.
these things are done. And, if you come into our brewery, it's wide open. You get to see everything as it's work. If I'm in there working, you get to ask questions. It's very open. But it's just one of those things that, I genuinely like to see other people smile. But on the other hand, it's also something that I've always wanted to do.
Hmm.
Even when I was married, I'd have conversations with my wife at the time. I would say, I could absolutely be so happy professionally working 7 days a week, creating, something that I'm really passionate about making. And so for me to absolutely have that come to fruition is just, it's a dream come true. And I'm very
Yeah.
thankful. But it's definitely what pushes me, to keep, I've always wanted to do this.
That's exciting, honestly, because when you're talking about it now, it's like you're incorporating all of your passions in one, if that
Hmm.
makes sense. You have your
Right.
passion for beer, you have your passion for science, and you have your passion for education. And you kind of tied those all into one thing. And that's truly a beautiful thing. And
Right.
I'm definitely going to have to like get my dad and we're going to have to come visit and check
Come
it
on
out
down.
because I love
Absolutely.
supporting people. So we'll definitely make that happen. And the whole time you're talking, there's someone I want to introduce you to. So remind me after this episode
Sure.
because I have another friend who is into the brewing scene and craft beer and things of that nature. And I think you guys could have a good conversation.
Absolutely. That's amazing.
Because I'm just like, my gears are turning. Because I think when I have conversations, when I make deep connections, that's the person I am. I love helping people. So if I know someone that can help you or just have a conversation where you can bounce ideas off of, I'm not going to hold that from you. I think that's
Right.
the biggest thing is people can be selfish, but if you have the tools and the belt like to give someone, like go ahead.
Yeah.
Like give them those resources.
Yeah. And it's kind of funny. You know, as I'm, saying this, we are expanding the brewery. Like I said, we're becoming bigger. We're getting
Mhm.
ready to move into a new location. We're going to be able to produce 400% more beer. Um, but another thing that I find I'm starting to become more passionate about is community involvement. And the brewery itself is located in Georgetown, South Carolina, which is about 40 minutes south of Myrtle Beach. But when our new place opens up, we want it to be like an epicenter of community, interaction. We're going to set up, we have a courtyard where we're going to set up like a little flea market. We're going to have family movie nights. A lot of times people hear brewery and they think, oh, you're just going to introduce, drinking to the town. No, breweries, every brewery that I've been to has been a very important part of the community, and it's a family atmosphere. And I find myself becoming actually more excited about creating an environment for the community to enjoy peacefully and be happy. I'm something I'm really looking forward to.
Hey, it sounds like the options are limitless here because the breweries here in Cincinnati, I feel like everyone I went to has been kind of open, place where people just like to hang out. You could like honestly have watch parties. I'm not familiar with like the South Carolina area, but even if you become like an official pub partner of like an athletic sports team, like
Right.
there's so many like opportunities, whether that's on the collegiate level or a professional level. It's just networking. I think that's the biggest
Correct.
thing. And it's what I've learned throughout life is networking is so big because you
Yeah.
never know who knows someone that could help you. And with what you're doing, I can see it. Like it can go like so high. It's just you
Right.
have to. I think consistency is the biggest thing in anything that we do. The only
Correct.
way it's truly going to work is if we stay consistent. Yes, we're going to have hiccups. Yes, we're going to have some failures along the way. But like I said earlier, is like if we don't fail, then how can we truly succeed?
Correct.
Because you're not truly learning or growing if you're just succeeding every single time. Like you have to be able to take your losses and
Agreed.
push forward.
Yeah, that's how you learn. That's how you grow.
It's the biggest thing in life, and I think sports taught me a lot. I think that's the biggest life lesson I learned from sports is learning how to lose. Because I hate to lose, but when you learn how to lose and how to like use it, it was like, okay, like what can I correct? What can I do better to try to put my team in the best position to win? It's different, and I try to tell my boys that tell them all the time. I was like, I don't care if we lose every single game. There's only 2 games I want to win all season.
Right.
That's
It's the,
and Holy Cross.
right there you go. Yeah. My business partner tells me a lot of times, we'll disagree on some things, but in the long run, we always come together and it's like, what are we going to be able to do to grow?
Mm-hmm.
It's not even about growing the brand, but just grow. And how do we, become better entrepreneurs? How do I become a better brewer? How do we become better for the community? And it's just about growing. That's what it comes down to.
Hey, that's the only way we can be better is by doing and experiencing. And I think it's nice that you're having conversations. And like I said before, not everyone's going to agree with you, but if you can find a common ground, that's all that really matters.
Correct.
So I want to move on to my favorite segment of this entire podcast. And that's why I save it for last. So I'm a huge mental health advocate, and I will have a conversation about it every single time I get the chance to. So with everything that's been going on over the last 4 years in the world with COVID and everything else, just how have you been taking care of yourself mentally?
So I do, I listen to podcasts. I'll go for a walk, listen to podcasts. It's kind of how I just kind of separate myself from responsibility. And, I'm very lucky that, I have a gorgeous setting in my backyard. That Merle's Inlet, the actual inlet is literally 5 steps from my backyard. So I'm very lucky to where I can just go for a walk and disconnect, and I'll listen to podcasts. 90% of them are about golf, but that's another thing that I like to do. I live in the golf capital of America, so I definitely still get out there and swing my sticks as often as I can. I try to stay healthy via working out. I've learned that I can't necessarily go as hard as I used to, but via working out and building relationships. I like to build relationships. I like to meet new people. Like to talk. Get to pick each other's brains. It's just something that I really enjoy doing. Going out and meeting people and talking with friends, and building on old relationships, things like that. But things like today. I'm very lucky to sit here and have a conversation with you, and it's one of those things where it allows me to escape, the day-to-day activity, and just conversing is healthy.
I think that's the biggest thing, though, is finding the time to disconnect. Because a lot of people think turning it off is like the worst thing to do, and in reality, it is the best thing to do. Sometimes
it makes me feel so much more happy. That's the word, happy. I'll get done with a walk, or I'll get done with a workout, or I'm gonna tell you right now, after having this conversation, my day is gonna be positive. I just know it is, because I know I'm doing something that makes me happy.
And that's all that really matters. And I think it's interesting how you listen to golf podcasts, because it's interesting how everyone's passions and things are different. Because I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't think I could do it.
Yeah. So I mean, no free plugs on your podcast, but I'm definitely I'm definitely a golf nerd.
Hey, I golfed for the first time in like the Tom Ellis, like the team foundation, like golf outing last year. Maybe not this past summer, but the summer before, because I didn't do it this summer because something else popped up. But when I tell you, I am terrible. Awful.
It's a funny story you bring that Tom Ellis golf outing up, because do you remember Mr. Kaiser, Justin Kaiser?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
He's the principal at Beechwood now, and I played in that golf outing with Justin Kaiser, and we may or may not have had some Miller Lights.
Hey, all I know is we
ended up winning. We ended up winning.
My team was last. Like we tied for last place, because we were like, do we get like something for being in last place? Because like we were just there for fun. Like it was me, my assistant, and the girl soccer coach and her fiance at the time.
You should reach out to Dustin Poe. He's a big golfer.
They were there. They had their little team. It was him, Nick Long, Tanner Watts, and
yeah.
I forget who the fourth person was, but
was it Tommy?
Yeah, probably. Because I was like, oh, golf. Like I felt like obligated because I coach at Holmes. So
sure.
I was like, I guess I'll do it. And when I tell you, like, just being a baseball player my entire life, this swing, no. I was just happy that they did the best ball. So like it was never my ball.
Oh yeah, scramble, yeah.
So I was just like, thank the Lord. We were just out there having a good time. We had
that's what it's about. That's what it's about.
Had our adult beverages. It started to rain at one point, and I was just like,
that's the most fun.
I didn't like it. I was like, I'm ready to go. I was like, I don't know how people do this. Like because like for me, I feel like my ADHD really kicked in, because it's very like time consuming and tedious, and
right.
It's a slower game. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like we still and like I had to wait for people. Like I feel like if I want to golf on my own terms, where I don't have to like wait for people to be finished. And
I get Top Golf. You should go to Top Golf.
I'm bad at that too, but it's fun. like I said, being the baseball player, I can't get the hips. It's the hips. I can't, like, it's just...
We can fix that.
It's weird, because my dad always like, you need to choke up, because we went to the driving range. My dad took me to the driving range before the whole like golf thing, because I was like, I never golfed a day in my life. And he was like, you got to choke up and like do this. And I was just like, I can't. It's too much.
You're athletic enough. We can fix it.
I was struggling. No, but I think it's interesting, like just hearing how other people cope with their mental health is it's everyone's different. And I think it's interesting how you and Miss Graff both love to walk and listen to podcasts. And I was like, is this like a teacher thing? Like
it's just when older people discover they can listen to talk radio without it being the radio. It's our generation of talk radio, you know, like my dad used to listen to 700 WLW religiously. Every time I got in the car, it was always 700 WLW. You know, we would listen to sports talk, and it's just, I am my dad, but it's just now I listen to podcasts and it's about golf.
That's so funny. No, I think it's crazy because I don't like walking, and you think it's weird, but like I also think the weather here in Cincinnati just doesn't allow it like year round because
Yeah, year round.
literally
Yeah.
on Monday last week it was 75 degrees, and by Friday it was like 55.
Yeah. Trust me. I was this entire weekend down here. It was, I think the high was like 58 and it was raining. And
In South Carolina?
I would walk outside and I said, why does it look like Ohio out here?
Yeah. I would be pissed. I'd be like, I moved here to get away from this fucking
Oh,
weather.
don't worry. It's 70 and sunny right now. It's 70 and sunny right now. So
I don't even know what it is today. I haven't walked outside. The only time I went outside was to take my dog out this morning. And no, but I do appreciate you just taking the time out of your day. I think it's always fun catching up with old friends, and it's nice to see what you've been doing because I feel like we haven't talked since, geez, when did you leave Holmes?
Oh, wow. Let's see. I graduated Thomas More in 2004. I think I got to Holmes in 2006. I was there for 5 years. So 2011-ish.
That was my freshman year.
Yeah. Yep.
That's crazy.
Yep.
That is crazy. Yeah, because I had Coach Mum my last 3 years of high school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's and to continue to build on that last question, you know, something that I definitely don't want to leave out, something that, you know, definitely, you know, builds on my mental stability is I just love watching you guys grow. I love it. I can't get enough of it. I'm so very proud of every single one of my students and players, and you know, anybody that I've coached or taught. It's, you know, something to build off of what Miss Graff said. I can't get enough joy watching everybody grow. It's just so amazing.
It definitely is heartwarming to see, like when you have kids, because I worked in the school district when I was 18 to 22. When I was in college, I worked at John G, an after school program. And now those kiddos are like graduating high school, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like it warms your heart just to see them like doing well in college and seeing them like get their first jobs, and it's like your babies. Like,
yeah. So funny story. Oh man, I don't know. It was a while ago, but my first memory of Holmes, I walk into my classroom and it was in the science building at that time. And the first student that walks through my door, Keegan Campbell. We're still friends on Facebook. We still chit chat, you know, once or twice a year. Well, I came back to Cincinnati for something and I reached out. You know, I think I made a Facebook post. I said, anybody that would like to grab a beer, this is where I'm going to be. And Keegan messaged me and he said, hey, Runyan. He was, want to meet up for that beer. And I was like, there's no way you're old enough to drink beer right now. He's like, I'm 23 or 24. And I was like, there's no way. Like, it was mind blowing. And, you know, he met me, I think it was at Braxton Brewing. And we sat there and we shared a couple beers. And he asked me if it was weird. And I said, it's not weird one bit, not weird one bit. And it was just incredible experience getting to see what he is doing and what he's accomplished. And he's got, you know, 2 little girls that are just absolutely phenomenal. It's just so good. It's just joy.
I think it's funny how he asked if it was weird, because I feel like as like the student who is now the adult, we think it's weird.
Right.
Because we're just like, oh, this is a bit different. Because I remember running into, do you know Brian Moore?
Yeah.
Yeah, I ran into him at a bar one night, and it was cool yet weird at the same time.
Right.
Because I was just like, do I say hi? Like, do I not? And it was just like one of those things, because he was my baseball coach like my senior year. And then literally like 3 years later, after I'm out of high school, like I run into him downtown Cincinnati at a bar, and I'm just like, hey.
Yeah.
It was so awkward, but it's like one of those things where as like the student, you're just like, they're human.
Yeah. we don't sleep at the school. We don't have all of our meals at school. Yeah, it's we definitely are human. I had one instance where I had a student. I was at Dickman's, and I had a former student send me a shot. I'm not going to say who it was, but sent me a shot, and I looked over and I was like, "Oh my goodness!" If you want to feel old, when your former students are buying your drinks, that's when you start feeling old.
I mean, hey, that's a free drink. That's how I see it.
Yeah. So, but
Anytime I
very,
get a
very
free
thankful,
opportunity.
very thankful to have the opportunity to watch everybody grow their way they're growing. It's very, very empowering, and it's just awesome.
I appreciate you, and I appreciate all the work you did at Holmes, and just know that you left a lasting impact on so many students, especially like the baseball kids. So know, like, you made an impact, and like you impacted my life, and I will never forget when you bugged me in 7th grade to play baseball.
I'm glad you did.
I actually did in 7th grade year.
It was 8th grade year. Yeah, that's right.
It was my 8th grade year because I came out 7th grade year, and I think it was just very. I felt awkward. I felt like very young, and
who was that when Jeff Bowman was the JV coach?
I think
he might have been.
Yeah, he might have been. But I think it was just like I was a 7th grader and coming and being with like the high schoolers.
Oh, sure.
I just felt so out of place, and I was just like, I can still play like not whole, like like I'm okay for right now. And then when I got to 8th grade year, I was like, okay, like a little bit more mature at this time. I'm like 13, 14, and I'm not 12. So which is crazy to me because I have like 12-year-olds playing on my soccer team, on the JV team. And I had this conversation with my athletic director, and I was like, do you know how hard it is to conduct a practice with 12-year-olds and 18-year-olds in the same place? Like, my varsity team's skill level is obviously not at theirs. So it's like, how do I make it easy enough for them to do, but not boring enough for them to do? And it's like one of those things, because with the limited amount of facilities we have, you've got to make do. So,
well, I understand. Trust me, I completely understand. I think we wore out that auxiliary gym in the high school building for baseball.
In the senior gym? Yep. It's still the same. Like, the floor is the same. Like, everything. Like, it's
did they still use it?
They might to like practice baseball. They have like a hitting net in there now and everything.
Right.
So it's just nothing's changed. I'm pretty sure like it's the same bleachers are still there, like the wooden ones.
I know how much certain players hated practicing in that gym, like when it was raining. And I'd always have to have them make the announcement. I'd always had to have them make the announcement. Yes, there is still baseball practice, even though it's raining, in the senior gym. And everybody would just walk into that senior gym, just like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do?
I hated it. I hated taking ground balls in there too. It was terrifying.
It made the ground balls on the field seem a lot easier. So
that is true. I was just like, no, but I do appreciate this conversation, man. And I appreciate you just taking the time out of your day to hop on and have a conversation. If anyone wants to continue having a conversation with you about anything that we've talked about today, what would be the best way for them to get a hold of you?
I'm on Facebook, Chase Runyan. I'm on there. And if they want to follow the growth of the brewery, we don't have our website set up yet, but we are on Facebook. It's Winyah Bay Brewing Company. That's WINYAH, Winyah Bay Brewing Company. We're located in Georgetown, South Carolina. Right now, the brewery is inside of a restaurant called Buzz's Roost. So if you go to Buzz's Roost and you ask for Winyah Bay or you ask for Chase, they'll come grab me. I'll sit down with anybody and have a conversation. And if the time is right, we can share a beer.
Hey, I'm excited for your growth. I'm excited to see you expand, and maybe one day you can have your brewery in Cincinnati. Come back home. not like live here,
We'll
but like
see.
just expand so you have multiple locations. That should be
Yep.
on the bucket list there.
There we go. Yep.
No,
I
but
would
I
love
just want to.
nothing more. I'd love
No, you're
nothing
good.
more for Winyah Bay to be represented in Cincinnati. That would be
Hey,
incredible.
it can happen. It will happen. Let's
Yep.
talk it into existence. Like it's going to happen.
There you go. There you go. Set a goal and achieve it, right?
Facts. It's the only way to do it. No, but I do appreciate you, man. And I want to say thank you all for listening in. I will put all of Chase's information in the description below. If you all happen to reach out to him, please just make sure you notate how you found him. I'm sure he will appreciate it. And again, thank you all for tuning in to the season 6 finale of Ignyte Your podcast. It has been a pleasure this season. We had 15 amazing episodes, so make sure you go check them out. And if you get through all 15 of them, guess what? We have 94 total episodes, so take your time, check them out. And also, while you're at it, give us a follow on all social media platforms. It's at Ignyte Your Y. That's INGYTE, not with an I. We're on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. You name it, we are there. Again, thank you all for listening in. And always remember, find your purpose, ignite your why, and I'll holler at you guys later. Peace.